still able to celebrate an undefeated start to ACC play for the Duke men's basketball team. Impressive road trip out to California, able to beat Cal and Stanford. A 30-point victory most recently over Stanford. Let's talk about it all on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man, to Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. So great to have you here with us today on Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on inside the life of Duke athletics. On today's show, we're going to highlight Duke basketball picking up a 30-point victory over Stanford. We'll be able to talk about their unbeaten start in league play so far and what's coming up next for Duke. We'll also talk a little Darian Mensah with our pal Conor O'Neill from Devils Illustrated, who joins us on the show as he does each and every week. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcast. Be sure to leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Take a moment to watch our show on YouTube each and every day. Like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Really appreciate all the support that we get out there. Follow us on X at LO_Blue Devils. And I'm there as well at _JJ_Jackson_. So without further ado, the man of the hour, Conor O'Neill, hanging out with us on today's show. It's good to see you, Conor. How are things going for you, my friend?
Good to be seen. Doing well. Been coming down off my hate watch of the national championship game. So excited to talk some hoops and really dive fully into college basketball.
Yeah, a little pleasantly surprised by the way that game played out. A little bit more competitive than I would have thought. Indiana, of course, knocking off Miami in that one. So let's talk basketball, though, with what Duke was able to do over the course of the weekend and put together a 30-point win over Stanford. Started out by scoring the game's first 6 points, and Stanford never really could climb out of that deficit even, and a strong wire-to-wire victory for Duke.
Yeah, this was really Duke's most complete performance since, maybe at least early December, maybe even going back to November. If you want to look at the numbers, if you want to boil the two California games down to it, Duke's first 4 ACC games, they won by a combined 28 points. The average margin was 7, obviously, 4 divided by 28. And only one of them was double digits. And that was, ironically, the game at Louisville, which is...
But you were down by a ton and had to come back. Yeah.
They won at Cal by 15 and at Stanford by 30. So pretty nice rounding into form, if you will. I mean, it's 2 games. It's not going to propel Duke for the next 2.5 months that we'll see. But for a team that we had a lot of questions and concerns about, this was about as good of a game as you could have hoped to see. Dame Sarr taking Ebuka Okorie basically out of the game. Stanford was without Chisholm Okpara, who is their best big man. And so Duke took 10 threes and scored 44 points in the paint and went to work. And that's exactly what you would have wanted to see.
Without a doubt. And they went to work early and often with their best player, with Cam Boozer. And it worked out that, you want to highlight the stars, freshmen in particular, for both these sides. As you mentioned, Ebuka Okorie coming off 36 points against Stanford. And I do want to get more to that Sarr defense and kind of his impact and whatnot. But, I mean, at some point, like we did with Cooper Flagg a year ago, we're starting to run out of all the nice things to say about Cameron Boozer, because night after night, it's just something more and more impressive from him, Conor.
Yeah, freshmen aren't supposed to be this consistent. Like, they're not supposed to be a guaranteed 20-plus, 8 rebounds, and do a few of the other things that help you win games too. He's comfortable going left or right. He finishes with his left. I think that's a really underrated skill of his. It's kind of mystifying that Duke is able to get these freshmen in that are this talented and then build a team around them and build a team around a guy that has never played a college basketball game. But Last year they did it with Cooper, obviously before they did it with Zion and Paolo and those types. But this is back-to-back years where Cam Boozer is going to be on the court for 32 to 35 minutes. He's going to give Duke everything that they want. The other thing that kind of stands out to me in this game is he's had maybe more than the three that I'm going to mention, but the three that come to mind immediately, like he had bad first halves against Texas, against Michigan State, and against Cal. I think Cal, he had like 4 points and 3 rebounds. It was something like -10 in a game that Duke was up 7 at halftime. And you just get the feeling that he's going to have a big second half. And against Michigan State, against Texas, against Cal, he had huge second halves. I think he might have had a double-double in all 3 of those games just in the second half alone. The games after those games, he has gone for like 25 and 15, and he's put up huge numbers. So it's kind of like you don't.
It's really interesting. Yeah,
you don't expect him to go for 30 and 14 in an ACC game, but you kind of, if you follow the pattern a little bit, as much as a 3-game sample can be a pattern, when he has those bad first halves, it's almost like the next game and a half, you can expect him to be a dominant force and control everything and be really efficient scoring the ball.
Yeah, course correction for all of this. Anytime something is not great there for Boozer. But yeah, 30 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists. Ran out of space here for our fun graphic. If you're watching us on YouTube, there were 3 steals as well that we could have highlighted, which, we saw tons of loaded stat sheets like that from Cooper Flagg a year ago. A lot of people want to be looking at the defensive effort and some things that you might see from Boozer throughout the course of the year. But how about Cam? A 3-steal game, and I thought he was relatively active, more so than usual in the Stanford game.
Yeah, it's all about having active hands, right? Like you can only do so much with his athleticism and his footwork. It's not great. The NBA guys will all tell you that he has cement feet and that it's why he's going to be like the 4th or 5th pick in the draft. And that's all for their discussion about what happens in June and moving forward into his career. What it's about at the college level for the next 2+ months is how active can his hands be? How solid of a base can he keep when he's defending in the block? Can he keep his verticality and not pick up cheap fouls, like leaning into guys and jumping when he shouldn't, when he should just stay vertical? And what we saw against Stanford, it's exactly what you need to see for the rest of his college career, the next, again, 2+ months. Just having active hands and just being solid on the defensive end. Nobody's asking him to be the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. Heck, Cooper Flagg wasn't even the ACC Defensive Player of the Year.
Great point.
Wink, wink. But that's basically what they need of him. They need a solid post defender, somebody that they're not asking him like Cooper. They're not asking him to switch 1 through 5. They're not asking him to get on the perimeter and guard a 6'2" guy and keep him in front of him. It's just more a matter of play defense a little different than what Duke has done the last few years. And against Stanford, it worked.
Yeah, and go from there. 80-50, the final score, and Duke's victory over Stanford, a 30-point beatdown for the Blue Devils. And they pick up their 6th ACC conference win already of this young season. We'll step aside. We'll dive a little bit more into the box score here when Locked On Blue Devils continues. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Game Time is the absolute best place for you to buy tickets. There's nothing like college sports seasons, from tailgates, packed stadiums, being right in the middle of it all, the energy, the bands, the moment you remember forever. But actually getting tickets, that part used to be frustrating with long waiting queues, logins, and prices jumping at checkout. That's why Game Time gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college sports seats and experiences in just a few taps. I opened the Game Time app to look at all the upcoming college basketball games and was surprised at how fast I was able to find great seats. The app is so incredibly easy to use. I went from browsing to buying tickets in just a few minutes. I got to love being able to see the view from my seat before buying, so I know exactly what I was getting. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Game Time is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. All right, welcome back into the program. JJ Jackson hanging out with my pal Conor O'Neill from Devils Illustrated, wanting to talk about this Duke team and their win over Stanford. People see 80 points on the scoreboard, Conor, and as we put the box score up on the screen for our viewers here, how about just 10 three-point attempts for Duke basketball, going 4 of 10? That's a little bit out of the norm from what we've been used to seeing the last really several years watching Duke.
Yeah, it's the lowest for a Scheyer coached Duke team. So that's 129 games. It's only the lowest by 1, but I think the game they had 11, if I remember my Ken Palm perusal correctly, was all the way back when they went out to the PK 80 in John's first season and played Xavier. I think that win against Xavier was pretty low scoring and they had 11. The last time Duke took 10 threes in a game was actually Coach K's last win. The Elite 8 game against Arkansas, they only took 10 in 22. So it kind of tracks back to what John talked about yesterday on the teleconference. Is he loves threes. Like, John is very analytically driven, and analytics tell you that a 3-point shot is almost always the best case scenario. Maybe not almost always, but that's the shot you want to take. You also want to take dunks and layups. And when you take dunks and layups against the team missing their best big man, and quite frankly, Stanford is, even with Chisholm Akpara, they're still guard heavy.
Yep.
So they're even more guard heavy without him. And, they don't really have guys that scare you from a rim protection standpoint. So when you have Cam Boozer, when you have Pat Gongbo, when you have even Malik Brown can get some rim runs and can get the ball close, those are the shots that you want to take also. And that's what John talked about being really happy about, was Duke did not settle for threes just because he wants them taking threes. They fought for, he always talks about, they want to fight for great shots, not good shots. A good shot is, even though he can make them, a good shot might be Isaiah Evans taking a semi-contested three-pointer when somebody has a mismatch on the post, or somebody's flashing and is unmarked right next to the bucket. So that's like John said, I don't know that they're ever going to take 10 threes in a game for the rest of the season. Like, I would think that's probably not going to be the case. But it's the principle of it, what Duke did in getting the ball inside and taking advantage of where Stanford had a weakness, is a really encouraging sign for a young team on what day was the game, January 17th, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this is where I would say don't be surprised at all in the next several games if you see Duke take 10 threes in a half.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've seen that a number of times already this year, man.
Yeah,
this is such an outlier.
Their previous season low was 23. So
what a drop off! Goodness gracious.
They're gonna take threes. In the last game, Isaiah Evans took more than 10 threes himself.
That's such a good point. Yeah, he's had a kind of like double-digit outings himself.
Yeah. So they're going to take more than 10 threes. I would be floored if there's a game where they're in single-digit three-pointers for the entire game.
Therefore, I'm glad we can appreciate this moment where they only took 10, because it's just so rare and so odd that this thing. And it was, look, 44-20 is your edge in points in the paint. 44 of them there right by the rim. That's awesome.
And we're a couple weeks removed from John making the point that I think it was the Florida State game where they got outshot from the three-point line and got outscored in the paint.
Good point.
Yep. And he was so bothered by that, because that is everything that Duke does not want to be as a basketball team. And now you fast forward a couple weeks, and this is where growth of teams matters. This is where he keeps telling us, you learn the most about your team in January. John is learning that this team can take coaching and can make quick adjustments in the span of a week or two and turn perceived weaknesses into strengths.
All right, so we talk points in the paint there in the three-point shooting. Duke won the rebounding battle in this matchup, 35-29 which is always a good thing to see. I found it interesting. Once again, we've got a game where Duke has 0 fast break points. Connor, it was the SMU game that was also the case, and those were kind of another number where, wow, you win by 30, you score 80 total points in this one, and yet there's nothing in the get out and run column, so to speak.
And Stanford had 18 turnovers too.
Yeah, like there's chances to do that.
Yeah, I usually, if it's a home game and I have the yellow legal pad, I can tell you how many of them are live ball and how many of them are dead ball.
Right.
It takes a little bit more going back through the box score and going through the play-by-play to figure that out when I'm not there live. That's a weird number to me. I honestly, JJ, I hadn't even noticed it until you just pointed it out.
It's like what something. I mean, they're still winning by a lot. They're still able to score. In this one, it was 22 points off turnovers, right? So there were a couple of them where it's just a little bit more settled. And like you said, some of them could have been not a live ball turnover, and you're able to bring it up and kind of get into your offense and get into a set and whatnot. But a team that I know is very capable of getting up. It's not like they're in the bottom half of the country in tempo in those things, and really far down there. But man, that's just something that zeros jump out to me, and that was one of them. Another one that I was like, whoa.
Yeah, one of my goals is to figure out the mechanisms of the guys that track official stats, like the guys that stat games live, and see what the requirements are for a fast break point. Because that's where I'm kind of hung up on. Okay, they scored 22 points off turnovers, but 0 fast break points. How many were secondary breaks? How many were, the defense had numbers back and Duke was pushing the tempo without going full bore straight to the rim? So I don't know.
Because these are judgment calls at the end of the day. And so, to your point, the official score on Saturday's game did not see anything that qualified as a fast break point.
Those more than most, I think, are a little subjective. Basketball has debated for years on the validity of assists and how quickly after the pass is made can an assist be recorded. But I do think there's some subjectivity with fast break points too.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, what about an individual performance? We looked at Cameron Boozer specifically. Who do you want to highlight individually?
Yeah, the guy with 3 points and 2 turnovers in 28 minutes. I mean, Dame Sarr's embracement of this defensive stopper who's just going to take the other team's best guard or wing out of the game offensively.
Yep.
It redefines what Duke's ceiling can be. John thinks the offense will come with Dame. I don't know that it really has to, other than, maybe in March and April. But, man, Ebuka Okorie was awesome against Carolina. Like 36 points and 9 assists.
He was making everything.
Yeah, they scored, 95 points in that game, and he scored or assisted for more than half of their points. And he had 9 points. And what's almost more impressive to me than holding him to 9 points and holding him so far under his season average, he only took 9 shots. Yeah. Like, he's looking for his shot. He's looking to get involved and get to scoring. And that matched a season low for him in shots. So the fact that not only did Dame take his scoring away, he basically took his offense away. Not completely, obviously 9 shots is 9 shots, but he removed that from Stanford's equation. And Stanford's equation to beat Duke is probably get 30 plus from Okorie. Like he either has to go for that or he has to have a double-digit assist game. He had 1 assist and 4 turnovers.
Yeah. Can you repeat exactly what you did against North Carolina? We'd love that once again. And
yeah, I mean,
Dame Sarr made sure that wasn't going to happen.
This weekend they're going to play Wake, and I would imagine Dame Sarr is on Juke Harris right away. Like Juke Harris is scoring 20 points a game for Wake. He's having a sophomore breakout season. That's the assignment. Make sure he does not get going. Make sure he doesn't get downhill. He loves to attack the rim. He has made threes this year too, so it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. But like, that's the assignment. And Dame Sarr has the last few games has appeared to know the assignment.
Just 3 points, like you said, for Dame Sarr, and still able to make such a big impact. Split a pair of free throws, so still at that 50% free throw percentage. Got to improve that. But the 2 points, the basket he made was quite an impressive dunk coming right down the rim.
All right, yeah.
On the second rebound. It actually got a good visual of it here for fans watching us here on YouTube. And it also allows us to talk about Duke moving up in the AP poll up to number 5. It'd been 3 straight weeks where they were stuck at number 6, but finally a couple of Iowa State losses and a couple of other top 10 teams had unlucky weeks there in their conference action, and so Duke back in the top 5.
Michigan lost, and Vanderbilt lost too.
Yep. So good to see Duke get back up in there, and I just thought there's Dame Sarr living life above the rim, something I'm so jealous of. Would love to experience that once in my life, but a big play for him.
They got 7-foot rims for you and me, JJ.
Yeah, exactly. There are ways that I can find one on the back of a door somewhere here in the house and take some shots and dunks that way. So, all right, well let's transition to a little football. What do you say? We got to talk about the big news coming out of camp for Duke and the transfer portal saga of one Mr. Darien Mensah. So we'll take a break, we'll step aside, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment. Thank you so much for making Locked On Blue Devils your first listen and your first watch here today. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network in the world. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. It's awesome. This is access to an ad-free audio version of this show of Locked On Blue Devils, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. It's got you an invite with the Everydayer Club to our members-only Locked On Discord server, which includes a group chat for listeners of this show. I'm in there chopping it up, talking about my observations throughout the course of the game with Duke basketball. So go check it out. Again, LockedOnBlueDevils.supercast.com to be a part of our Everydayer Club. We really appreciate all the support that we get out there from the loyal listeners of Locked On. All right, Conor O'Neill's here with us. We're talking now football, and we mentioned the national championship game unfolding last night, and now it means we are officially on to the 2026 season. The transfer portal window has closed. We will see maybe a few more names kind of trickle in there since it closed on Friday and we're back in business with the holiday yesterday. But significant news out of Durham coming on Friday with Darien Mensah deciding, you know what, I've played enough football for Duke. Let me go elsewhere, man. That was a shock. Yeah.
I mean, when you have a 2-year contract, I don't know what a contract means anymore, but he was signed for 2 years and he's taking his talents to South Beach. I don't know if that's officially official, but it might as well be. I mean, they're the only team with spending money to attract a guy like Darien that doesn't have a quarterback lined up for 2026. And
right.
They quite clearly cannot develop their own quarterback because they've taken Cam Ward and Carson Beck and now Darien Mensah. And, you know, I was on with Jordan in our Instant Reaction podcast over the weekend. And the one point that I would make is if Darien were to come out, or if somebody around Darien will come out and say, this isn't just about the money. This is about what I can become in the NFL based on going to Miami. They took Cam Ward from he wasn't an unknown at Washington State, but he certainly wasn't known as the #1 overall pick when he was at Washington State and became that. They resurrected Carson Beck's career from an arm injury and all the storylines about him not even being sure he wanted to play football anymore to now looks like, I don't know what he is, a mid-round pick. He's certainly not a franchise guy, but he's certainly a guy you take and you take a chance on in those mid rounds. If Darien sees that for himself at Miami and thinks that he couldn't have been that at Duke, I guess it might make a little sense, but it leaves Duke in a hell of a spot. And that's basically what they've got to figure out here in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah. as I said on yesterday's show, I have no law degree, not even going to act like I do. Do you get the sense? I mean, how far does Duke want to push something like this? Because it is such a major moment, I think, in the landscape of college sports.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that we're headed for a courtroom with this. There's no doubt in my mind that, yeah, I'm with you. If I had a law degree, I certainly wouldn't be doing this. I might be involved with sports because that's where the only winner in college sports these days gets paid by billable hours.
Right.
But I don't know who sues who first. I imagine there's a countersuit that comes with that. I have trouble wrapping my head around the idea that Duke would be able to retain a player's NIL rights in the era of player empowerment and with so much emphasis lately in the courts on players controlling their image, name, image, likeness.
Right.
But then again, if you sign a contract that says Duke owns your NIL rights, I don't know how you get out of that.
Right.
So,
and you know how much time Duke put into kind of putting this together. It's not like this was Microsoft Word document that was typed up in 15 minutes or something.
Exactly. Precisely. We're headed for courtrooms. We're headed for court filings. There is no doubt in my mind that 7 months from now, it will be Miami quarterback Darien Mensah. The long and twisty road to get to that point is going to be a headache for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yep. Now Duke's got to figure out a quarterback situation moving forward. And this is something that they didn't think they would be having to do because Mensah had already made this big announcement in this video. I'm coming back, and you get Nate Shepard and Cooper Barkate and all the big weapons and whatnot. I mean, for any quarterback out there, it seems to be an appealing position and situation that you would be walking into. The timing is just nowhere near where Duke wanted to be in this.
Yeah, that's where you cannot stress enough how much not only losing your star quarterback, not losing a guy that threw for almost 4,000 yards, 34 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, all the stats, all of what Darien was on the field.
Those numbers are so good. I mean, just hearing them again, man.
They're great. But right hand in hand with that is the timing of it.
Yep.
If Darien does this 2 weeks ago, Duke is in such a better position than it is right now, even a week ago, because they're able to basically do the same thing Miami just did to them and do the same thing they did with Tulane last year when Darien was being shopped before the portal opened. And they're able to find a adequate replacement or at least something.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at the scrap heap of what's left in the portal after everybody has basically combed through it. You're looking at, cast-offs like Jaden Rashada. Remember that name from the NIL saga of a few years ago when he was in high school. And you're looking at basically the guys that were, I don't think they actually carry clipboards in college, but the NFL equivalent of carrying clipboards in last night's title game.
Right.
Like you're looking at Alberto Mendoza, who entered the portal this morning. You're looking at a guy like Emory Williams, who is Miami's backup, who Miami just recruited Darien over him and said, we don't think you're our future, even though you've been in our program for 3 years. So those are Duke's options. They're extremely limited. I mean, there's a Teron Dickens was Western Carolina's quarterback this year. I have a hard time imagining that a guy from Western Carolina academically can get into Duke. No offense to him. I don't mean to jump to conclusions about his intelligence or anything like that. It's not a
big
fit
jump
in that regard. It's also not a fit in the fact that he's an undersized running quarterback, and that is not the type of quarterback that Duke has had. They had Malik Murphy was a statue at 6'5", and Darien Mensah is a big-bodied, scrambling to throw quarterback at 6'3". Right. I don't think Duke is going to take a 5'10", 190-pound guy that wants to run around and run 15 to 20 times a game. So the options are extremely limited. Duke will have somebody at quarterback next year. I don't think they're going to go into next season with the 3 guys that are lined up to be on the roster right now as their only quarterbacks, which is Ari Patu, Dan Mahan, and Terry Walker III.
Right.
But but it's just completely up in the air of what it looks like.
Wildcat Nate Shepard. I mean, there's tons of options we could throw out there for sure. Now, you mentioned the clipboards. I think now it's just you're wearing, the other colored jersey and your signal collars. And backups there for college football. So hopefully you can have your sights set on bigger things, but the timing just makes it so hard to accomplish something like that. Good thing for you and I, we don't have to be scouring hours of game film trying to make decisions like this. We'll just follow along and then kind of react to what Duke ultimately decides to do.
Yeah.
All right.
That's fine with me.
Well, tell us a little bit about Devils Illustrated, Connor, and how people can support you.
Oh my gosh. Go sign up at Devils Illustrated. A premium membership for the rest of January is 50% off for a year. So normally about $120. Now it's 60.
It's a great deal.
Quick math that I can do in my head. Breaking everything down. Basketball previews, basketball coverage is all there. Recruiting coverage. Trying to keep up with every little nugget of information with the portal and where Duke will go at quarterback. So tap in, and we'd love to have you.
Good deal. Good to see you, Connor. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thanks, JJ.
All right, that's Conor O'Neill joining us here on today's episode of Locked on Blue Devils. Make sure you go support his work over at Devils Illustrated. A lot going on, from football transfer portal to basketball, with no game this midweek before Saturday's test against Wake Forest. We've got you covered all week long here on Locked on Blue Devils. Check out our Everydayer Club. We've got a link down in the show notes here today with this one. That'll do it for today's show. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.